Welcome to DRJLT Economics. Today I want to make two comparisons. First, a comparison between a hypothetical Trump administration had he won the 2020 election and the Biden administration along a set of major events and policies. Second, I want to project the path of these events and policies and want to make my comments on what a Trump administration would differ from a Biden administration for the next term. Obviously, needless to say that all this is based on my personal opinion, and this is purely a counterfactual analysis, because we know that Trump was not elected, and for the future there can only be a single president, either Trump or Biden. It cannot be both of them, so we cannot compare facts to facts. We are only comparing facts to counterfactuals. With this out of the way, and without further ado, let's delve into the set of major events and policies of the Biden administration. I've identified 7 that I want to comment on and base the comparison on. First, the Afghanistan withdrawal. It was a disaster under the watch of Joe Biden. I think this would have been handled better if Trump was president. And that simply was because Trump already had a plan, and that plan was better organized, and if carried out and executed per plan, would have been a more orderly withdrawal, whereas Biden originally did not want to withdraw, but later had to, at the last moment, without much planning, carry out this withdrawal, and it was a disaster. Second, there was second is Ukraine war. Some may say, I think a lot of people who support Trump would have continued to suggest that Trump would not have allowed this war to happen. I'm not so sure, but there is certainly this possibility, because Trump appears that Trump had this policy, at least this intuition, of leveraging Russia against China to contain China, and he was unable to carry out this policy, but he would have been more open to talks with the Russians, and he would not, and certainly I think Trump is not as big a warmonger as Joe Biden, and Trump is more interested in business and business relations than war. So that is something that's not so certain, but I think probably the outcome would have been better with Trump. Third, the vax mandate. I'm pretty sure that under a hypothetical Trump administration, there would not have been vax mandates. Not because Trump would not want it. I don't know. I think maybe Trump would have been, because the person is quite easily influenced by his advisors, and his advisors were the same advisors that advised Biden. So I think he probably would have been advised to implement vax mandates, but because Trump was so opposed by the media establishment and the tech companies, the big tech companies, he would not be able to push through this type of anti-democratic mandates. Fourth, Joe Biden's lawfare against his major political opponents. In fact, the lawfare by the Democratic Party against its political opponents. This will not take place. I think this is a unique case and should not be generalized. So with Trump as president, there will not be such welfare so widespread against political opponents. Fifth, the conflict in Palestine, and some people use more stronger words, but I want to be a little bit friendlier to the censors. So let's call it a conflict. I think if Trump had been the president, this would have come sooner. And this is because Trump had always focused on the Middle East as one of his key policy focuses, which is to establish normalize relations between Israel and the neighboring Arab states. And with this, it would actually corner the Palestinians sooner and force their hands sooner. And this would mean, I think, that it will not be the 7th of October 2023, but most likely sooner. And the results is, of course, unpredictable. But I think American support for Israel will be just as strong, and so the difference is only just perhaps the placement of timing. Sixth, there is the relationship that's getting ever closer between Russia and China under the watch of Joe Biden. This, I think, will be less so under Trump administration, because even though Trump was unable to carry out an rapprochement with the Russians, I think Trump still has the intuition that will not actually confront the Russians. He will not confront the Russians as much, and therefore he will not force Russia so close to the corner of China. At the same time, he would, I think, limit the confrontation or the competition with China to economics and the financial sector, and he will not be so belligerent. He will not invoke this militaristic gestures, and he will not, I think, go beyond talking about these racial or ethnic issues as much in when dealing with China. So he will not force China into Russia's corner as much. And so I think with the Trump administration, the relationship between China and Russia will be less strong, and the core of the BRICS will be less strong, and the competition against the United States and the Western system will not be as strong. Finally, there is the issue of inflation. I think there will not have been much difference between the two, because Trump was demonstrated to be a big spender, a big deficit spender as well. And some people would blame the onset of this inflation crisis on Biden's policies, but I think even had Trump been the president, there would still be an inflation crisis, and that is the result of decades-long policies of deficit spending and loose monetary policy. This will not change simply because another big spender, albeit perhaps less outrageous one, will be president. So overall, I think had Trump been the president instead of Biden, the United States would be enjoying slightly better international standing, being less politically isolated, and its military situation will be stronger, and but at the same time, the conflict in Europe and in the Middle East will be perhaps still would have still happened. Now, let's move on to the second comparison. What about the next term? I want to go over 6 points. In fact, apart from the Afghanistan withdrawal, these 6 points follow the 6 major events and policies of the Biden administration. First, the war in Europe. I think the war in Europe would end either way, whether Trump or Biden is elected. But with Trump being the president, he will be able to get a better deal. And that is because Trump had always maintained an open line with the Russians. I'm not suggesting that there is anything true to Russiagate. What I mean is that he is open to talks diplomatically with the Russians, whereas Biden has never been. And there is a lot of bad blood between Biden and the Biden administration and the Russians, whereas there is perhaps still some goodwill between Trump and the Russians, and so this makes it more likely for Trump to get better deals for Ukraine and for Europe. Second, when it comes to domestic freedom, I think there will be more freedom with Trump. There will be less mandates, not necessarily because Trump is such a libertarian, but because he will face a lot of domestic opposition from the media groups, from the tech companies, so that his domestic policies will always be more closely scrutinized, and that scrutiny, that discussion, is good for freedom. And I think that is also a very important point for the Americans to elect Trump if they want freedom. Third, the subversion of democracy, I think, will be more with Biden. He will continue to use lawfare against his opponent. He will persecute his political opponent, because he will have been shown that this not only works, but there is no repercussion. He is indeed being rewarded by being re-elected. So his yoke will continue to use. So basically, the Democrats will use lawfare to subvert democracy. Fourthly, the Palestinian issue, and Israel conflict, there will not be a difference, whether it's Trump or Biden. Fifth, with regards to Russia and China, there will not be any difference. Trump may try to improve the situation, but I think things have been set in motion already in the past years, and the Biden administration and Trump would not be able to do much. I think just like when people say that Biden is not always there, it's not fully there, Biden is certainly not the person that is fully in control. Trump, although mentally is there, he will not be fully in control for a different set of reasons, because he will face a resistance inside his administration. So that's, we need to leave it there, I guess. Sixth, in terms of inflation, I think there is no difference. Just as before, I have said, both are big spenders, both have similar policies. I think the only difference will be that, and that is an actual point that I haven't touched on, and I hadn't planned to talk about it, but I think there is one fundamental difference between Trump and Biden that I need to add, which is that Trump is ultimately a businessman. He cares about profits. He sees countries as competing for profits. and he likes to make friends that can make profits. He is not so closely tied, and in fact, I think he probably is quite alienated from the weapons manufacturers, the military-industrial complex. So he does not see war as a way to benefit himself, to benefit the Americans, or to benefit anyone. But Biden is different. Biden's history, his life has been, whether he believes it because he truly believes it, or he believes in it in a way that is how to say, due to grift, due to corruption, or for whatever reason, he believes that war is good for America. And I think there are a lot of people, the new conservatives, not necessarily so, I don't know if they really believe it, but a lot of people subscribe to the view that it was that wars have been good for America. They name the Spanish War, what is it? Spanish-American War, the war with Mexico, the Mexican War, the World War I and II. From all of these wars, America gained tremendously, and so they believe that continue to have more wars will benefit America. This is not the view. I'm not here to judge whether this view is right or wrong, but this is certainly not the view that is held by Trump. So I think in terms of the prospect of more conflicts, more wars, certainly the chances are much higher with Biden as president. I think he will be able to find more wars that he will start. But with Trump, there will be fewer wars. I'm not saying that he won't start wars, because, again, even though he is not inclined to start wars, I don't think he will be fully in control of his administration. And one last comment about a potential Trump administration is that I don't think Trump will be able to drain the swamp or to unseat the permanent state, permanent administrative state, just like he did not do it the first time. He says he wants to do things, but he's unable to do them. And so that's, I guess, not surprising, because he is only one person. People think that that election matters. It does matter, but not as much as one would hope. Anyway, on balance and overall, I think Trump will be slightly better, marginally better for the West, for America, and for the European Union. But Biden will be better for the global South, for the BRICS, because with Biden at the helm, with Biden at the helm of the Biden administration, the global South will be better united. He is a unifying factor in this regard. Thanks for listening, and have a great day.